Yo, we back.
Yeah.
The shutdown can stop us.
Check. Yeah, but we got to do the show regardless.
That's a fact. Oh man, greetings and salutations to everybody out there. Shout out to everybody that has tapped in. Shout out to everybody that watched Market Money's last week, your leisure last week, Blackout last week. We appreciate you wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
shout out to the good folks of Dubai. Shout out to everybody here. Showing a lot of love, right? BB, welcome home.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Shout out to Ty Davis. Ty, what's up?
Shout out to Yummy. I love you dearly.
Crazy out here, man.
Yeah.
Back, man. Yeah. First and foremost, congratulations to Terrence J on his wedding tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations to Daniel on his M2N conference that we spoke at
the
other day. Congratulations to Steve Harvey on his food festival, to BD and the whole team over there. So it's a few things that's been happening on this side of the world while we're out here. But yeah, we're here.
Show must go on.
So we'll go on. How you feeling? Ian, you caught up to some sleep, but we at with it?
I need a little bit more, but I'm blessed and highly favored and ready for an amazing week and an amazing show. I've been having a great time kicking it with y'all. I want to give my love to Terrence and soon-to-be wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great host, yo. Great host.
A lot has happened since we've seen you last. Shadi, you had a prediction that the mayor of New York City would be
early.
That has come to fruition. New York City is a new mayor who will take office on January 1. How you feel about that prediction coming to life, my brother?
Yeah, sort of writing on the wall, but congratulations. Congratulations to the new mayor of New York City. And let's move the city forward, whether you agree with it, whether you don't agree with it. I mean, he's the mayor now. So I think that he has good intentions as far as making the city more affordable because it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, the vast majority, a lot of people that's actually complaining about his policies are not rich. Ironically enough.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
So,
not to be affected enough. It's a lot of projection of like where you will be, but I'm like, currently you shouldn't be fighting.
You're right here. You're right here. You're right here.
Exactly. But hey man, we'll figure it out and we'll see what happens. But it was not just him; it was a wave of Democrats that won.
Yep.
We'll talk about that later on as far as the political implications of that, as far as the Republican Party and how that's going to play out for the economy. But Trump said that wasn't so much. That was because of the government shutdown, because he wasn't on the ballot. That's why the Republican
Two things. He was not on the ballot. That's all you
can't be on the ballot every year though.
Huh?
Can't do it, even though some are trying in a bunch of different states now.
That's a fact.
This is true.
That's a fact. This is true. So, we'll talk about it. But yeah, Market Mondays, we here live from the UAE. We in Dubai right now. Wednesday we got Blackout from Dubai, and then Thursday we got the episode Chase. My boy Stanley from Chase and Venus. So that's a dope mashup of kind of what we did with the series, but we did an episode just kind of talking through the whole credit situation, Chase Forward, the series, the whole thing. So check that out, 6:00 on Alicia's YouTube channel this Thursday.
Yeah.
And we coming back. I said I wasn't gonna come back to America until this government shutdown was over. Apparently, it looks like it's over. So we gonna
come on.
Our flight is still on. Our flight is still on.
Sometime soon.
I'm happy to hear that. Listen, man, we got one of the most important birthdays happening this week in the EYL family. Our brother Ab is having a birthday. His birthday is this Thursday. Brother, we want to wish you a happy birthday, man. We love you daily. We want to continue to see you. Whoever I got to talk to on these under 30 lists, man, we need to have him on there. I don't know. Whatever publication you are, he needs to be on the under 30 list. This man is absolutely incredible. It's meant a lot to us on a personal and professional level. So happy birthday, my brother. More blessings.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, man. Enjoy. Yeah, take a day off.
Please.
Immediately.
Ian, any
I want to wish Nicole Harmon happy birthday. Great friend, great person, great business partner. I appreciate you so much. No stock club call this week. Let me enjoy my time in Dubai, catching up on sleep. prices will be out this Friday. I had to move them, given some things in the market, but this Friday they will be out at 9 p.m. Central. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. Tune in to Blackout this Wednesday. I love y'all, and let's have an amazing show.
Shout out to Stock Club. You know, the last time we did the class together, man, we gave them a little tip on something that you're looking forward to, and that has paid off. So put money, put yes in chat.
Yes.
And sure. Y'all know how this works, man. This is our disclaimer. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Y'all know how this works, man. Continue to do the research, share the research. When it's great research, give credit to those people. Let's build wealth. Let's build our brokerage accounts. Let's build our communities. Let's build.
Absolutely.
Let's get it. So let's start with building block corner. Maybe we can start that like a new segment of like, you know, things that you just need to know, whether you're just starting out on your financial journey, rebuilding, or just trying to figure out. And it's something that my son had asked me a while ago as far as like credit, like what is FICO? And I thought that, you know, what I described it a while back was that I feel like FICO is your transcript as an adult. So like, you know, as a child, you have a transcript in high school, right? And that transcript is vitally important because what that transcript says pretty much determines where you're going to go to college, right? So they're making decisions based off of your grades 9 times out of 10, extracurricular activities, stuff like that. But they're making decisions based off of your grades and your report card for 4 years to determine what type of student you're going to be. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right, but that's what they're going to do, right? As an adult, your report card doesn't really matter. But what does matter is your credit score.
Yeah.
So your credit score, a bank is going to make a decision whether you're worthy enough to get a loan to buy a home, whether you can live in this apartment, sometimes whether you can get a job, whether you can get a car, you can't get a car, whether you're going to pay an extra $200 a month for the car, because they're seeing if you're a responsible person or not. And how they're determining your responsibility is based off of your FICO score.
Yeah. The interesting thing about FICO was like most people hear about it. They don't even know it's a publicly traded company.
And one of the best in the market, one of my favorites.
If you look at its charts over the past 5 years, you've seen how crazy it's going. But most people realize when it's too late, right? They'll figure out, I got to figure out my credit score. Who is FICO? And so the idea of bureaus coming together to give you a score that are really pretty much going to determine, like you said, that transcript of how trustworthy you're going to be, right? Like, can we loan to you, whether that's for a car, whether that's for a home, or whether that's for trying to get a job. Like that score is so important. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm like, how do they actually make money, right? So they don't actually sell credit scores. They actually license the algorithm for the credit scores. And if you're in any financial institution, people are going to track your credit scores. So they get to sell that over and over again. When do they make the most money? Well, when you see people actually trying to buy homes. And so when interest rates are low, when people are refinancing, you should watch FICO's chart. That's one of those tidbits that most people don't think about, but everybody has to use, especially if you're in America, right? If you're trying to invest, especially in real estate, or like I said, trying to get a vehicle, you're going to need that score. And once they know you need it and interest rates drop and money becomes more affordable to people, they're like, all right, well, this is a time that we should be watching this company. It actually reported last week. So these are those little tidbits that people don't talk about in finance that you should know.
One of the best performing stocks in the last 10 years. And on top of that, they have a quiet monopoly that most people don't think of. I've always been told to think of your FICO score as your financial trust score. And I think you guys both touched on it, but it's a lot of people who have been turned away from amazing careers because that score wasn't high. So it's really important. Kudos to Edwin. Edwin broadcasts it all the time. So about it. It's 8:50. So kudos to my brother. Yeah,
my brother.
MVP in all areas of life, yo.
And I think the last thing that is interesting about this is, like, you know, FICO, as you said, is a traded stock on the stock market, right? So what happened is that when it IPO'd in 19 It IPO'd in 1987.
Damn.
At $1 and 40 cents. 1947, $1.40. It's currently trading at $1,700.30.
Yeah.
But if you really look at the chart, it really started to go crazy. It really started to go crazy around 2014, 2012, let's just say 2010. After 2010, it started to take off tremendously, right? If you look at the financial markets, right, especially after the Great Recession, Dodd-Frank, and all this, and it says a lot about the economy that we're in right now, the importance of credit scores. If you look at how the world was shaped in 1988, your credit score was a completely different metric of meaning as far as your life importance than it is in 2025. You can't even really live without credit score right now.
No. So
it says a lot about the times that we're in, but to put it in perspective, the stock is up 85,000% since its inception.
Power of long-term holding. Yep.
Insane.
It's up 85,000%.
And the importance of intellectual property that others cannot easily recreate.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a stock that was up at $2,400. And so if you look at that peak, look at that pandemic run, right? From like 2019, where it's trading under 630 to that $2,400 run. That's an incredible run. And now it's pulled back a little bit, right? There's some uncertainty, right? We've seen it over the past 3 years. We saw the market pull back in 2023. And so there's still some uncertainty. But here's one thing that's going to, until America changes the credit system, right? This is a company that's not going anywhere. And this is one of those companies and you're going to need, you're absolutely going to need.
I mean, it's like, once again, Wu-Tang, when they said in 96, cash rules everything around me. And then we actually made that t-shirt when we first started that cream.
Yeah.
Credit rules everything around me.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it happen in real time right now, how the monetary system has changed to become a pretty much cashless society at this point in time. And everything is run on credit. So understanding the credit rules. It's like the Clip song, FICO.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them, man.
Stove God Cook.
Grammy nominated. I know they talked about how important the Grammys were to them, and Gwen won. They got nominated for 5 Grammys. I see them winning at least 3 or 4 of them. I definitely got that.
And honestly, one of the greatest campaigns of the last 10 years. Just like one long rollout of quality and video, and music, and fashion. Oh my! It's been a masterclass.
From a marketing standpoint, they had the best rollout that I've seen in years.
Easily.
Salute to them, Rock Nation, their whole team, because I've never seen somebody that, they would think that they was Michael Jackson as far as how many articles that they had written about him, and then, interviews.
The Vatican, bro.
They've performed at the Vatican. That's 100%. And just good people, man. Like, Mal is somebody that's been highly respected for a very long period of time. See him step away and then step back like he never left. Pusha T, somebody that we've run into a few times at our spot in Paris. We interviewed him for ethical liabilities.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's a super smart dude as far as getting money on the medical side.
Yes.
With medical transportation companies, and he got a bunch of stuff from the McDonald's licensing deal. He talked about that before. So, these guys are not just successful for no reason. Like, they're really smart. Like, I think hustling, because the last thing I'll say about this is I think the Clips, they've solidified hustling, right? But hustling is not just a matter of, just hustling on a street corner. Like, you really got to stay up to the times. You got to be in tune with what's going on, and you got to actually have a sharp mind. So even for them to, like, that FICO, like you're talking about the stock FICO, like, that's like, you got to understand what's going on right now, because the world is moving so quickly that if you pay attention to trends, you could make money. Yeah,
and the best teacher has always been music, especially for us. Like, we grew up just listening to music and trying to learn things. So when I looked at the track list, I said FICO. I said, all right, this is something we got to tap into, man. But shout out to them. Like I said, Grammy nominated, well deserved. They said that Malice might got verse of the year. Birds Don't Sing. I watched that video.
Maybe rapper of the year if we're not going.
He might, honestly, he's there. He's there, man. One of my favorites. Again, just a classic album and a classic rollout. All the visuals been incredible as well. So shout out to them and the producers. And I think they just signed with CAA, man. These guys are just elevating, and what they've done is they stayed authentic throughout their career, and they've shown that they can be great at any age of this music thing, man. So shout out to them.
Honey. All right. So that's the beginner's corner. We talked about FICO. We also tied it in on some culturally relevant vibes. But let's talk
also
about
too, if you want to pair FICO and Moody's together, another ratings agency, you got a nice little ratings index that is impenetrable. Write it down.
What's your futures trading tip of the week?
I said this last week that I shouldn't even say it, but I'm gonna say it again. You shouldn't be trading odd time frames, and a lot of people's like, "Why? What's the secret?"
Yeah,
I can't tell you, and I can't tell everything, right? But what I will say is, from my experience, those that I've had the chance to watch, who manage more than 50 million, none of them are trading lower time frames. I used to love the 15-minute. Ironically enough, October 31st is my 10-year anniversary in futures, which is crazy to think about. So when I went down to Wall Street, and then when I had other chances to talk to people who used to work at exchanges, the way that most people are trading in the retail space is dramatically different than how they do it in the hedge fund or fund-to-fund space. And time doesn't move in odd sequences, it moves in even sequences. So I know some people had a little bit of pushback for it, but look at your P&L. The two things I want you to look at is for every dollar you put in, how much are you getting back, and how well are you able to do over a year. Some people are judging, well, I use the 1 or the 3 minute and I've done well, but you've done well for 3 weeks or 3 months with it. Have you been able to sustain 2 years, 4 years, 6 years worth of returns or growth? And I don't know many people who trade odd time frames and who are making a hell of a lot of money do so. I do know quite a few people that have made millions from trading even time frames. So it's one slight advantage. It's not the only thing, but it does give you an advantage. That, and also too, if you have one screen up with even time frames that you trade off of, and another one with all the indicators everyone else uses with odd time frames, you can use that against them to know when they're getting into the market and when to whipsaw against them or take a reverse pin bar because they got the direction wrong because they're looking at too low of a time frame.
The boy said the reverse pin bar. It got me thinking as you were speaking. At this point, especially in today's market, what defines a seasoned investor? I feel like, with technology and all the resources that the retail investor has, what is there amount of time investing that makes someone seasoned?
I think everyone's skill level is different. I think you can argue the same thing with athletics. Like, I think you have more tools and trainers than ever, but there's more people playing a game in trading and in athletics, but some haven't broken the stats of the greats yet. But on a trading basis, like, you should have it down. And I've been asked this before: how long does it take you to get good? It shouldn't take you longer than 2 years if you're dedicated. You cannot be halfway in and halfway out in this, though. Like, same with media, same with building a business. We all know people who will start and then stop and then come back 6 months later with a new venture. It should take you 2 years max to get a strategy down where you're able to make money consistently and almost pick apart when you want to be profitable.
Let's talk about, very insightful. Let's talk about politics. Donald Trump. He recently just got booed on the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, saw that. We got smacked.
So it's a few things. We're gonna talk about the government shutdown and how that looked. The market reaction to the good news on that. But first, let's talk about Trump's proposed plan to give Americans $2,000 from tariff revenue, right? So he's proposed giving Americans $2,000 tariff dividend, funded by tariff revenue, except for high income earners. Now, this still has to go through a variety of different channels for it to actually get passed. But
is that socialism?
Right. It's
definition, please.
It's crazy because all right, the Republicans, as a fiscal conservative, run on lowering the debt and cutting out government subsidies, cutting out government spending. And that was one of the things what Novogratz was telling us before, as far as he fully expected that Trump would raise the debt because he said Trump loves to spend money, which would go against the Republican ideology. But the only thing that's happened in the last year is record-breaking numbers as far as the national debt is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
credit card debt.
The value of the dollar has gone down tremendously. This
consumer sentiment is down.
But this does both of those. This adds to the debt anywhere from. This adds to the 300. This is going to cost anywhere from $300 to $500 billion. And when you're talking about inflation, you're devaluing money by just putting money into the marketplace over and
why begging for a rate cut? So
I think that he's looking at this as an easy way to kind of get support, because we talked about as far as the pandemic and how that really helped a lot of people, and how it really set the sentiment that he was good for the economy because he kept money flowing. So maybe he's thinking, okay, we kind of had some shaky moments. It's the fourth quarter. It's almost Christmas time. If I could just put $2,000 in everybody's pocket, they're going to feel a lot better about my administration and me. And I can say that I got it from tariffs, so I can use the excuse that it's not coming from any government budget. Is money that we weren't expecting anyway, even though some people say that we don't really even have one tariff deal done yet. That's what some people.
It's an illusion.
Yeah, there's another part to it. I'm glad you brought all those pieces up, and I'll let you add to it as well. That the federal government, right, the Supreme Court is actually hearing the case to see if these tariffs were legal, right? Because if not, then the tariff money that they were collected from these companies might have to be refunded. So countries might have to be refunded, and if so, that money goes back. Now what do we do? If you've given money to citizens from that money that potentially might have to be refunded, now what?
But then they're saying that we have not collected. Some people have speculations that we have not actually collected any money from tariffs yet.
Yeah, well, they got a calculator that just keeps running. I don't know. We don't know where it's coming from.
It's all an illusion. The reason why he gave away the money in COVID, because it was gross mismanagement of what happened out of Wuhan on his watch. So he had to financially lead with money to offset that there. And the same thing is happening again. It's a sign. Even Mandami winning the way he did in New York is an indictment upon his leadership in the Republican Party and how well they're not doing. The Make America Great Again slogan hasn't really worked. The American economy and the stock market are tied very loosely together, if not at all. And even if you look in the market, it may be 17 or 18 companies out of the S&P 500 and the overall 6,000 stocks that are doing incredibly well. If his campaign was going well, you wouldn't have to give $2,000, because why not actually pay down the debt? So it's been mismanagement on both sides. And just from world travel, if we're going to be very frank, if we want to have this conversation, most countries are running. I asked somebody this yesterday. In the last 50 years, how many presidents have we had that were great presidents that have done great for the economy? No one could name 5. That's an indictment on the political system, the American economy, and then too much spending. It's a Band-Aid over a bazooka wound. And inflation has gotten up so high that $2,000 won't have an impact on, and you can't pay rent for $2,000. If you have 4 kids, you made that $2,000 be going on Christmas dinner and presents. It's not going to help, and we're going to be in more debt as a result.
It's like the list of things, like when we talked about it during COVID, right? I'm putting my names on the check. Here comes the tariffs. He brought up the Commanders game. The DC stadium got approved. He wants that now to have his name on it because it happened during his administration, and I guess he thinks his say in the matter actually persuaded it to actually get done. I mean, it goes back to that marketing brain and whoever it is. I mean, at this point, I don't think it's him. Obviously, there's a smart team around him. But how can we make a moment? How can we keep these moments happening? This is just year one. There could be some headaches in the next couple of years, and so let's get in front of it. Hey, remember I did this for you. I at least did this for you.
The core tenet of marketing is the actual underlying product has to work. What makes Apple advertisement so great is that when the iPhone came out, it did what Steve said it was going to do. This administration hasn't. The only people that have really gotten rich from this administration are those of us that are investing into the market and then his inner circle. The American people aren't feeling richer as a result. Credit card delinquency is at an all-time high. Auto loan repos are going up to an all-time high. The job market in October, 158,000 jobs were either reduced or taken out of the market, which matches the number of 2008. I sound like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
this has been a mismanagement at one of the highest levels we've seen in a long time.
One of those great indicators that we spoke about, in addition to what you just said, was that student loan delinquency. Right, we're now coming on a year where that the payments have to happen, right? So that I know you get the 6 months deferment. I've been in that position. Now we're getting into that point where we're going to have some reports on where we're at with this, and I would assume it would be pretty high, right?
And I'm asking all of us,
yeah,
what's the probability of it getting better? On either side, I keep stressing this. I don't know one person on either side of the aisle that has a solution to fix this. So much so, Palantir said, hey, I'm done. You guys should be done with college. Just come work here directly. Like the American education system is dying, the collegiate student. And now one side of the aisle wants to say, well, everyone was too woke and you got the wrong degree. It's like, no, there are people with bachelor degrees in business that can't get a job. There are people with engineering degrees that can't get a job. It's not just the liberal arts kids that made a mistake. And there's so much blame to go around. Rashad, you make this point. The difference between here and UAE, like there's one person in control. In the States, you really have 51 different types of leadership. And it's not working. It hasn't worked for the long. Like if our peak was 2000, 2001, it hasn't worked for 24 years. Minimum. And there's no correcting it. With the formation of BRICS, and we had a Daniels conference, someone asked, how much longer does America have before the number two? The estimate is 55 years. But the signs of it are trickling into the economy. And it's not just people who are upset, so much so even Peter Thiel in 2020 sent a memo out to Zuckerberg of the socialism and socialist rising. And Madami is probably the first person. But I think over the next coming years, with the cost of everything being so high, this movement is really going to take off.
Yeah, you brought up the Palantir thing, and it was actually something I'd love to hear both y'all opinions on it because it'd be pretty insightful. What he said was that college is no longer a trusted breeding ground for our brilliant, right? So that what the idea was is he hired 22 paid interns for a 4-month program. At the end of the program, he's figured out who was the best. And maybe I think 2 or 3 of them were selected to have full-time positions. Is that a model that we can see that is formidable for the future, right? If we're looking at the student loans and we're seeing how much college costs, can we now just pick our talent? I mean, they do it obviously in athletics. Can we now do that in business where we're picking the best talent out of high school?
It's short-sighted.
Now being these companies.
It's a good idea. I think it's a good bridge, but it's short-sighted. Now, does the American college system and education system have to be retooled? Yes. I don't think they want it to be, though. I don't think anything that's broken in terms of an institution, if it's not fixed, they don't want it to be fixed. Just like capitalism. There's parts of capitalism that are incredibly broken. They want it that way, though. But he got that model from Thiel, which Thiel invested into Palantir. So it's a bridge, if anything. What do you think, Rashad?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that makes a lot of sense for people that's extremely gifted. I think that the college thing makes sense for people that are still trying to figure out, like even in sports, right? Like if you know that you're LeBron James, what's the point of going to college? So if you already have signs pointing that you're a computer genius and you're already on a trajectory to go to Silicon Valley, why waste 4 years in school learning about Greek mythology and all types of other stuff that you don't really necessarily need? They can just take you from high school, but a lot of kids don't know what they're gonna do, or may not be exceptional in one thing. They haven't found that exceptionability yet. So that's where I think the college kind of gives you time to figure out, okay, this is really, because sometimes you go to college and you think you're gonna major in one thing, and then 2 years later you change your major. So. But yeah, it's definitely
is that wrong?
What?
Like if a person bought something from us and didn't know what they wanted to do, would that be right or wrong? I always hated the pitch of college that come find yourself here because the cost was too high to do so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's an argument.
But then also, yeah, sometimes you don't know though. Sometimes you don't know, like especially when you're young. If you're 17 years old, 18, you really what you think is not necessarily what it is. Even when you're 22, you might not, fully be able to make a permanent decision. You might not be in a space to make permanent decisions at 18 years old.
I don't think so. I think we're three prime examples of that. What we were doing at 20, 21, we're no longer doing. Right?
Oh,
like even for us.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like whether it was at that time you were still in school, but at 21, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to be a teacher. Like all those things are building blocks to get to where we're at, but they're not necessarily the core thing of what we were thinking we were going to do at 21.
So I think that for me personally, right?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be in business. I didn't want to go to business school because I understood that was going to be a lot of math equations and stuff that I didn't even really need. I knew that early. So getting a communications degree for me was something that was a safe bet. And I knew that, you can't really go wrong with communications, but I'm not fully relying on a communications degree. And then I started working in finance in a route that I could work in as far as a financial advisor. And then it led media wasn't in the bingo cards, but business 100% surely was. Always. So I think that.
But even inside that, there was uncertainty, is what I'm saying.
It's always going to be uncertainty because you never.
But it was uncertainty without him taking on a certain amount of debt, though. Like I think if okay, I'm
gonna let you. Let me just finish. I'm gonna let you finish that because like we've been around each other for so long that I'm talking about. We just graduated in school. Like I'm about to start grad school. He's just graduated, and it's like, well, what's next? And I'm like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. He's thinking like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. So there's that. We're gonna be professionals. There's still uncertainty. We've already finished college, and a lot of people in that boat. Like I've done it. Most people don't even get to that boat. Like they don't even finish. But now we have finished. We have this quote unquote degree. Now what? That uncertainty.
To me, from a business model standpoint, if someone bought Stock Club from me and I started delivering mathematical formulas for how to harvest corn, you're going to be like, what the fuck is this? That's our American education. Like, even they're treating it like a wellness retreat that Carucci did in Mexico. Come here, find yourself, and maybe opposed to if you look at other countries and how they're structured, they're helping you design your career path at 12, 13, and 14.
Well, also what you said, okay, tying this back into investing, what you said last week was vitally important. And you said this a few times. Diversification is overrated.
Yes.
That's the problem with the American school system, is that you go to a college and no matter what you major in, you got to take a variety of different things that's not part of your major. That's overrated.
That's the business part.
So if you want to be an entrepreneur, realistically, they should just be teaching you entrepreneurship skills
from day one.
You shouldn't have to go to to learn about the history of dance because that's a requirement for your liberal arts degree as far as the university, and then you got to do a 6-week trip to France to requirement, and then you got to do this. Like if you want to learn, this back to the Palantir. If you want to learn one thing, hyper focus better than the idea that learn about everything so you could become a well-rounded person. Because you're not going to be well-rounded anyway. Most of the doctors that I knew nothing about finance
to this day.
Most of the people know nothing about politics. So the idea that you're going to go and become a well-rounded person and know a little bit about everything, and that's going to help you out in life, is completely highly overrated. But I do want to come back to investing. Michael Burry, somebody that has become extremely famous in the world of investing from legendary Big Short position, but he's been very controversial since then. He made some big puts and bets to the downside on some of the top technology companies. Palantir, heavy bet on the downside to Palantir and a heavy bet on the downside to Nvidia came out last week. And then, both of their stocks had stumbled last week, not necessarily because of that, but the market itself has stumbled. And then you had CEOs of Goldman Sachs and a few other companies saying that, we're going to have a fall in the market in the next 12 months or so. And then there's been constant talks of an AI bubble. So picked up today on news that the government shutdown is going to be over soon. But for people that's investing in Palantir and Nvidia, is he on to something?
I love Michael Burry. I want to preface that. One of the greatest trades in American history, to what he did in calling that bubble, which he called that Moody's. But for all my traders and investors, the thing that I cannot stress as a stock club, you don't know what his parameters are for a winning trade. So he may have $1 billion in puts on Palantir and Nvidia, and he may only want 12% gain, and you're deciding what to do over the next 5 years off of his filings. I will remain long on Nvidia and Palantir, even though I don't like the company for what it does. The more I listen to Alex Karp, the more of an amazing CEO I think he is, and I wish he was at another one of my favorite companies. I won't say which one. But I do like his chutzpah. I was the first one to say, hey, the crash and correction is going to come in 2027. But Nvidia is not going to be one of the companies that crashes in 27. And Palantir, ironically enough, given who has influence in the White House, being Peter Thiel, his company is almost too big to fail as well. So when you're looking at someone else's portfolio, A, you need to know if they're holding for long-term or short-term. And B, if you don't know what their metric is for a winning trade, you can't base your long-term portfolio off of their move. He may need 20% to deliver alpha to his clients, which in the options trade is really easy to get. And he's been wrong. I mean, a couple of years ago, he said, sell everything. I was like, hold everything.
I was going there. But can I go there?
So, go ahead.
So there is merit. I will say this. This is a brilliant mind. We're not going to discredit him.
Yeah, for sure. One of the greatest of all time. And really quick, stop saying he only got one thing right. He managed his capital and his own capital for decades and never went broke while fighting the government and big banks in that trade. He's been right a bunch of times and has been right, but he's got a couple of them wrong, and I think this is one of them. My bad.
Even if he got the one thing right, that's the one thing, right? Like if you made $1 billion, hey,
who cares? I only need one here.
Yep. I only need it once. I only need to make it there once. But there's a part of it that has merit, and that's the oversized valuation of the company when we're talking about Palantir. So the amount of money, I mean, these are large sums that he's put shorts on. So it's, I think roughly $1 billion that he's putting in shorts. I think 170 is Nvidia shorts, and then you have about 890 to 900, some number like that from Palantir. So that Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, said he's batshit crazy. But the valuation, if you look at it, from Palantir is extremely high. It's extremely high, and that is concerning.
Is it how we're going to war into 2028?
Well, certain things have to happen in order for that. Right? And everybody that we talk to in the tech world is like, hey, defense tech is the wave, and we're seeing it happen. It's happening in a lot of the global tensions that are happening or have happened, especially this year. This defense tech is being tested and being used. Important. I want to run down the list of the times when over the past 5 years. So most people, especially in Market Mondays world, didn't live through the Great Recession when Michael Burry actually that one right, but they have been here since 2020. So in 2021, some of the glaring misses, he actually shorted Bitcoin in March of 2021. Bitcoin was at 31,000 by September of March of 21. It was at 64,000. So there was a miss there. He then said, this is before IPO, before Robinhood had IPO'd. Robinhood was turning the market into a dangerous casino and took positions against that. Obviously, we've seen what Robinhood has done since IPO, and it's had a miraculous run this year. It's been one of the best stocks performed. There was that moment in January of 2023. and I think you were kind of alluding to that, Ian, where he famously said to sell because there was going to be one of the biggest crashes of all. He was calling them the mother of crashes, where the S&P would perhaps fall 50%. In 2023,
50% crash, the probability is less than 3%. I love Michael, but
the S&P rose 21% in 2023. Nasdaq was up 27. I think the Dow Jones was up 24. So he was off, and to that he apologized. Right? He said, "I apologize." And to his credit, he apologized for it. So if you're using him as a metric, now should you be trading? Like you said, you don't know what his incentive is or what he's looking at. If you're using him solely, these statistics would tell you, you know what, probably not the best thing. Can you see some of the reasons why he's saying this? Yeah, the merit inside of Palantir. Nvidia, I don't think there's the same case. So I'm interested. I couldn't get the tea leaves on why Nvidia, outside obviously the AI story and that constant fear of that bubble word inside of AI. But I'm with you. I'm glad you said it tonight. There is going to be a moment of correction inside the space, and some companies won't exist. But that's not the one.
That's not one. And lastly, investors and traders, we can suffer from traders' delusion. Meaning the thing that caused and produced our biggest trade, we think that's going to work for every asset class. So because his big win was the big short, I've said it before, the big long pause is the movie that you guys should be running in your own life, because you should be long all tech, Bitcoin, which is tech. And even the reason why gold went up so much is because China, UAE, and other countries in BRICS were buying gold and net positive buyers of gold. So sometimes you can be so focused on trying to recreate a win, and that's not the natural direction of an asset. Most assets are rigged to stay up, even with Palantir. Not the biggest fan of what they do personally. But if I have the backing of who funded me, the same way Apple will make that iPhone 11 not work or iPhone 12 not work as well when a new one comes out, you don't think they can manufacture a crisis to make Palantir go up to 300?
Allegedly.
You can manufacture a kerfuffle internationally to make sure something happens, to make the value. And also, too, if they're telling you Sam is next, but in that darling IPO class, Palmer's right there at Anduril. So if Anduril is valuable, that's also going to drive up the value of Palantir, because now you have comps for defense tech.
Yeah, I think that's the piece that we don't think about, right? Like if we're talking about defense tech, at some point they got to test this thing out.
Test what out?
The defense technology that they're actually making.
They have tested it out. They're not testing out, they're using it.
This is what I'm saying, right? And so he kind of alluded to it, and that's why I'm like, allegedly, like sometimes crises or conflicts are created just for a reason.
Well,
they'll use some of them drones to spy here. Go ahead, Rashad. Not here, but the States.
Please.
Yeah, the States.
Even if you don't need it, even if you don't use it, you're still gonna buy it. You're still gonna buy it if you don't use it. So like, if somebody else has a gun that is bigger than your gun, then you got to get a gun, then you got to get a bazooka, then you got to get a tomahawk. Yeah. But you might not ever actually use it, but it's the idea of fear through intimidation. If you know that I have something that can completely obliterate your whole entire country in 1 second, you're going to be a little bit more, cautious how you handle the business. So their technology is getting used currently as far as the surveillance, as far as face recognition, as far as drones. That's getting used in America and other countries currently. But everything that they're developing is going to have to be purchased, because nobody wants to have the weaker arsenal.
You can't afford to.
Especially with the dollar falling and crisis arising, bad leadership in the country. You can't afford to. And America searching for IPO and publicly traded darlings to help the debt situation not be worse. Like I ask everyone all the time, is America better or worse off without Nvidia? They are the two new big to fail. I know people keep saying, well, it's like Cisco or like Enron. No, they're actually producing at a high level. They are the pillar that's keeping the American economy afloat. Meanwhile, China's open sourcing everything to try and beat us. And when people have an issue with spend, we're spending that much capital and forcing people to work together so China doesn't beat us. Even Apple and Bay, we can't get the AI thing down. Can we just pay you to fix our AI? We're seeing old partnerships come back that once died. And now Tim Cook and Google CEO are sitting down figuring that part out, and it's working pretty well.
Yeah, that search number just went up. Just when we thought that it went, but that you're right, man. This is why we kind of started that conversation last week of like who's the most important. And we're talking about national security for the next, foreseeable future. This is a company that has to be protected, and we could say too big to fail at this point.
So for people, on their financial journey, and they become a millionaire. What should they do next? Like, what's next after you become a millionaire? I'll give some advice. Don't make any large purchases, including.
Hold on, say it again.
Don't make any large purchases.
Yep. Stay in the same place you've been in,
including a house.
Rashad, they're gonna say that you're an anti-homist. I'm not gonna let this.
No, with that.
But tell them why that's important.
Yeah.
Because your primary home, unless it's a multi-family home, is not going to be a asset for you in the moment over the course of time, but it's going to be a liability for you in the moment. So you're still trying to collect as many assets as possible to grow your wealth. You don't want to take 2 steps back after you made 3 steps forward. So you make $1 million and you have $1 million, and then you spend 600,000 on a house that's going to cost you an additional $8,000 a month. That's going to cost you an additional $30,000 a year in taxes.
You get furniture and landscaping.
Right back to where you started, a couple $100,000. And like Meek Mill said, that ain't real money. That's bail money. No disrespect, but that one bad situation, and now you're back to rock bottom. So it's about playing a long game. Real estate, for sure, is a good investment over the course of time. It has always gone up in value, but it can hurt you as well. So if you're going to buy real estate, we talked about the multifamily play, or talked about, as far as having, places that other people live in, and now you're a landlord and you're collecting rent while your asset appreciates. And you might want to continue to actually rent a place, because if you're actually doing business out that place or it's structured properly with your CPA, you can write that off as a tax write-off. But you're still keeping large sums of money. You have access to it. You never want to tie your money up until you can properly afford it. When you get to a point, it doesn't matter. Then it's like, all right, it doesn't even matter. But until then, when you first become a millionaire, some of the trappings of success is the large real estate play. It's
luxury car BS.
A luxury car done the wrong way, right? As far as putting $200,000 down or buying a car and $250,000 outright in cash because you feel like you have enough money, when that's going to go down in value over the course of time, and then by the time you sell it, you're going to get $75,000 back out of it, and you just lost $150,000 for no reason. Avoiding lifestyle creep. That's really important. And just continue to invest in smart investments, and to really, really value and respect the money. You got to respect money. I told this story on M2N, and they was telling us about Aliko Dangote, the richest black person in the world, Nigerian tycoon. And they were saying, like, he was kind of like, he had a situation where he was like buying something that was pretty minuscule in the grand scheme of things, a bagel or something like that. But he was just, kind of going over the bill with the waitress just to make sure that, he was getting charged for the right thing. And some people might look at it like, well, if you're worth $30 billion, what's an extra $10 going to do? But it's a mindset. And it's a mindset of entertainers that So you, in one hand, you got extremely rich people that'll look over every line item,
everything.
Then you have other people like some entertainers or some athletes that will just say, "Ah, fuck, it's an additional $5,000 here and there. I'm not too stressed about it. I'm getting paid $50,000. If I can't get the Phantom to pick me up, I'm not going to go to the show." That type of mindset will lead you broke because you're not valuing the money because you have money coming in. So you're not looking at it from a standpoint of it doesn't really mean anything to you until it does.
Yeah, I think that's all spot on. I think living below your means is something I'm doing it for. I mean, I'm gonna talk from a personal standpoint. It was like the first made $1 million. How do I make 2? Right? Like, how do we double this? How can I double this? Not how much can I spend? How do I double this? And what time frame can I double this in? The next thing was like, all right, we made $1 million. How much of it do we actually keep? Right? Because that's the other part. Let me figure out how I can make these tax incentives to actually keep a majority of it if I can. And then it was, all right, let's live below your means. And so make the $1 million, look at, especially in real estate, having a home. Like I had a home and I'm looking at, all right, my income is going up. Do I get the home right away? No, man, like we waited 5 years before we bought the home, right? I was still living in the home that I started the show in, right? And so I'm when I started doing the calculations, I'm like, I remember watching somebody break down like how much your monthly disposable income should go to your living, and it was like, oh, 30%. I'm like, nah, I gotta have it at 10%. You know what I mean? So I made $1 million, and my mortgage was $3,000. I'm less than almost like 1% of that income. I'm like, okay, perfect. I don't need to have a home. How can we get cars, but we can do it in a strategic way that makes sense that it can be a tax write-off? So now we do that. Now it's just a clear road to saying, all right, I've knocked down all those barriers. How do we get to 2? Right? What do we have to invest in? What moves do we have to make? How can we strategically align ourselves in partnerships that can get us to there? And so once we get to the 2, it's like, all right, well, how do we get to 4? It was the same idea that I had when I was working, saying, all right, this is what I need to stop working. All right, this is what I need to do to stop working, plus have my wife stop working. And so always having that plan and being disciplined, like you said, respecting money, being disciplined with money, but also being super vigilant with money. Like you watch this, like in the world we live in, right? Especially in this world, and definitely during that pandemic era,
you see it come and go.
You're being mindful of how money's being respected, how it's being spent, how it's being abused, and you're also watching people no longer have it. And so like that becomes like the catalyst to say, all right, no, we got to be even more stringent with it, because like that's a telltale sign. That sign wasn't put into your life for you to just ignore it. Take heed to it, learn from it, and figure out how not to make those mistakes.
Great question from this brother, and I appreciate you asking it. Number one, what I was told, no lifestyle creep until you get to your first 11. 1 is good. Your nose is above financial water. No lifestyle creep until you get, and that's a thing that I live by. And even after you get to 11, you can argue to minimize lifestyle creep in. Number 2, invest in things that increase your happiness index. The thing that people don't tell you, like after you hit these monumental numbers, the high of hitting them goes away relatively fast. The person who you became on that journey is more important. And I used to hear that and be like, just give me the $1 million. But you'll hit this goal. And now there's a level of emptiness because now you realize I just got to the first level of the mountain. It's a lot more to climb up. 3rd, be debt free. I know a lot of people are going to tell you some debt is good and da da da. There's no better feeling than owing nobody. No institutions, no banks, no people, nothing. Being free and clear is the way to go. And then lastly, you have to put your money into assets that have 0 probability of going to 0. If 10 years ago I told you bonds were not a good investment, you would have thought I was an absolute psycho. Here we are, half decade of bonds being underwater. So look for the investments that won't go to 0 and that will give you a great return on investment that will allow you to sleep well. That's why when I tell you guys, if you're asking me every week about a particular company, is it overweighted, da da da, you are invested either at the wrong price or the stock's too volatile. And if you do those 5 or 6 things in combination, you'll be great. NBA, okay. But no lifestyle creep till you get to your first 11.
Yeah, I mean, just don't do anything stupid too, because sometimes that is a golden rule. Invest your money. No, in stocks, long term, like you said, good companies, avoid large purchases, don't buy jewelry. That's another thing that you think so you might be doing something that's intelligent, like a house, but watch is not going up in value. 9 times out of 10, that's that they told to you. Diamonds is out in shambles. Right when fucking
all-time low.
these Zimbabwe, these countries bought De Beers at a moment when diamonds are about to be worthless.
All-time low. Crazy you said that. I just looked at a chart of the value of diamonds. They're at an all-time low.
No, they're all-time low because lab diamond. I was talking. We on Eric the Jeweler. He's here, and he was. I'm asking him about, and he's like, "Yeah, no, lab diamonds." He's showing me lab diamonds. He's like, "Yeah, look at this lab. The diamond, like they do the diamond test.
Diamond tester, yeah.
Diamond test on the lab diamond comes back as a real diamond.
Real
They're
diamond.
real. Yep. So why would I pay for something that I could actually manufacture and it's the real thing? It's not even. It doesn't even. It passed the test. Diamonds is dead, and like I said, it's crazy. Yeah. It's an extremely unfortunate situation because, like they just one of my guys, shout out to Alvin. He actually sent me that yesterday, and they was like, "Man, this is dope." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we got one as far as on Africa because in Angola and Botswana teamed up, and they formed a partnership to buy De Beers, I think. And I'm like, yeah, it's just interesting that was the timing of it because diamonds at an all-time low, and it's probably not going to be worth the same thing. So it's the reason why they sold the company.
For sure, it was that they were the liquidity to get out. And I keep saying that when you get money, every company on earth finds a way to rob you legally. Meaning, every watch company, diamond company, luxury experience everyone has a 70,000, 80,000, 200,000. Like just every watch company, Jacob has his resurgence, right? There's some watches going for 900,000 that are worth 900,000. You have to be careful. And I know it may not look fun, but most of the people who are posting on the gram for the gram, they're not happy. They are asset light, liquid light. Be careful.
Extremely light. It goes into that theory of like you start to question anything and everything, right? Like the average person that walks up to a diamond ring or a diamond, they're not gonna know the difference. And the diamond, they're natural elements, and so a lab can create something that put those elements together at the same cut, same clarity, add color. You can see why that business would be very disruptive.
I mean, not even the average person, no person. If you could create something that's literally the same exact thing, it test on it, no person can tell the difference. The diamond industry, that's terrible for the diamond industry unless you just have so much money where you just say like, I just want just real diamonds.
And if you have a good jeweler, they'll tell you it's not even shout to Big Mike. Mike, but it's not even worth you getting the real diamonds for what you can do with
it. At that point, it would matter.
It makes he's like it's a bad investment. He's a jeweler. No, be careful. Everybody has a $190,000 car to sell. Now, if you had 1 million in 2 days, you can run through $1 million if you're stupid. You can. Diamonds are a girl best friend. If you got 3 girls, you're gonna be out of 60 real quick. And then when that doesn't go well and they go pawn your ish off, that's why I keep saying put the money into assets that matter. Yo, be careful. And some of y'all getting robbed by women who got BBLs on. Be careful. Be careful. Stay invested for the long term.
Long term, 10 years.
But what I know, at least
10-year hold.
The BBL play.
Let's talk about Google. Is Google a sleeper AI company?
If I wanted to wait till December, one of my favorite comeback stories of just flawless execution is Google. Google has done everything I wish Apple would have done. I can't wait for this update to come out. But just at the highest level, when people were even starting to say, well, AI erode their search business completely, they found a way to invest and create AI at a faster scale. And it's a great thing of being focused because as Apple lost their focus, they were able to come in and be a partner. So it is a sleeper AI company. We've been talking about it all year. And I've clearly said, like, once they made the switch in focus, I was the first one to say, hey, they've righted the ship. So I don't think they're a sleeper company, but I do think they are the quietest of the big tech companies in AI, but that's because they're actually executing at a high level.
I think, yeah, I don't even know if I want to use the term sleeper. I remember about a year ago, we were talking about this topic, and I think the one knock I had against them was that they didn't have the product. They didn't have the thing, right? There wasn't a thing. And then I spoke to some people in the tech world, and they were like, nah, Troy, trust me, the thing is on the way. And so obviously using that information, doing the research, started to get some calls on them and did pretty well on those calls. And then at the All-Star game this year in San Francisco, we were enlightened by some of the folks at Google. They had been watching the show and talking to us about some of the product things that were coming, and we should just give it some time and then set some products over to us. And what we've seen is when we talked about the clips earlier, this is the technology version.
Just executing quietly.
They're executing at the highest level. The product is phenomenal. When we're talking about AI, Gemini is still one of the top 3, right?
For sure. And still improving.
VO3 is incredible. Last week, they talked about their potential new deal with Apple to be the search engine. Google has had a phenomenal year. They reported earnings 2 weeks ago. Had an amazing quarter. Innovation looks incredible for the future. They're there, man. They're there. Yeah. In fact, I was reading an interesting piece about how they're looking at search going forward, right? When we had to scour the internet, when AI like ChatGPT and Claude had to scour the internet, the data source was Google, because that's the place you go. And now they're saying, like, in the future, they're going to shorten that search so that other models can't take it as much, which was what we'll see, right?
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, I feel like they were a little late to that, though. Right? Had they saw that train coming, they would have stopped it early.
It reminded me of Netflix stopping the password share. Like if data's the new oil, they have all the oil and the refineries. Sam, while you're being arrogant, which you can talk about in a little bit, okay, well, let's cut the pipeline off. And VO and Nano Banana, and every update that Google does, it felt like at one time every week they were launching a new improvement. Just a fantastic. And once again, everything they're doing, I wish Apple would have did.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because now that you said, I didn't even think about that. Like, you cut that pipeline off. And for those, what I'm trying to explain here is that when you search, right, like when Google has like 30 O's inside the word, that's how many search engines that they've done to come up with results. In the future, they're saying that they'll cut that down to maybe 2 pages, right? So remember when people used to go SEOs and they're like, oh, wait, we're trying to land on the first 10 searches. Now that'll be confined so that the other companies won't be able to use that database to use inside their platforms, which is interesting. Could Apple have done this? I think Apple could have done something in artificial intelligence. I think the role is defined now. They're going to sit back and watch and say, how do we improve? How do we innovate inside of what's already happening? Google is just innovating. They're just innovating at a very high level. And every time they innovate, there's a response. And so when VO3 came out, we saw Sora. They updated it. Here comes Sora 2. They're leading the way now, right? Like they're leading the way. Search engine is there. We know that is a huge business, and obviously they still have that Goliath called YouTube, which. And
now I was going to say, and once they figure out how to integrate Veil into YouTube for creators, if you own a cable company, sell.
What would be like? What's reality at that point?
It's tough. Job well done to everybody at Google. Once again, I wish Apple would have done the same.
So there's a thing called the Santa Claus rally in the markets, where traditionally has gone up towards the end of the year. So if people want to invest in stocks or crypto, first off is which one should they invest in, stocks or crypto? And which stocks and what crypto should they invest in?
Should you invest in stocks or crypto? It's both, for sure. It's not the one or the other. So great question. Bitcoin, the predominant crypto. Ethereum is making some moves. XRP, I think, still has some value. Which stocks? The ones I've always talked about, love Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Google, OpenAI when it becomes public. If Sam puts his arrogance away, Anduril when it becomes public, Eli Lilly, and you're good. You only need 4. You only need 4 assets to get rich. You only need 4.
I noticed that you keep saying the same thing, and you're right. And I think people need to realize that, right? Like,
can we talk about that? You're about to book. Okay, here's a key lesson, Rashad. You can chime in too. Don't blow the bag before you've acquired it. Like, shout out to Brad Gershwin. He just asked him a simple question: how you commit to $1.5 million of spend and you only have revenue of $13 billion? Sam's response was, "If you don't believe in the company, I can find someone who can sell your shares." Okay, I understand the quip because people do want the OpenAI shares. But that's a wide ass gap in spend that you're committed to versus revenue. It would have been a better thing to say we're at 13 now, we're projected to be at 20 by the end of this year. Next year we should be at 65 and bridge the gap. And Sam's making a lot of enemies very quickly.
His CFO may have misspoke, and I think she did apologize for it when they asked her where they're going to get the money from to fund this infrastructure. And she sort of suggested, like, maybe it should be
government backed. You want a bailout before you go fucking public? And I know she said she misspoke, but both of you misspoke on the same. And we've all made mistakes in media. So that's a huge. And while China is open sourcing all of the AI,
that thought alone is like subconsciously there if you're looking at ways, which is why. When we talked about the Burry point is that some data sets you need to just keep in mind, right? So when we're talking about a $1 trillion valuation, and you look at, and they don't have to share their records, they're a private company, but have they made money or are they losing money? I would imagine at the rate that they're spending, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to be profitable right now. Will it be profitable in the future? I'm pretty sure it will be.
For sure.
Current day, no.
Temperament of CEO matters. At least when Elon goes off the rails, and he's delivered return for the public markets. Same with Steve Jobs, same with Gates. I just think before you go public is not the time to have these enemies. Because remember, like, for those of you who are old enough when the Facebook went public, Zuckerberg had a similar disposition pre-IPO. And all of a sudden on IPO day, for those of you who remember, the market was frozen. All of a sudden, you couldn't buy any shares. It panned out to be a great investment, but that initial IPO day was a shit show done partially by design because of your arrogance. Got to be careful. Sam, be careful. So, and Elon been telling some truth about y'all. The tweet exchange was interesting too. So,
did you see that? They served them papers on stage? Yeah, they ran up on them.
So, okay. Let's talk about this. You know, Trump, well, he was in a meeting last week with some of the pharmaceutical executives, and the guy damn near died, and he was just like,
oh my gosh,
looked the other way. And Robert walked off. They walked off the set.
They got out of there.
Listen, if I pass out and you walk off, I'm gonna be tight.
Yo, if I post for a picture while that's happening, like, yo,
that's crazy.
I want to be seen as strong. Let me stand up right here while you got your feet in the air.
You shot every day, B.
Why did he run off?
Who?
RFK.
RFK ran off.
He got about it.
He ran off
real quick. Whatever you got, I don't want to get. I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah, we can afford it.
All right, Ma. He ran off. But on the flip side of that is the stock, right? Because Trump did announce partnerships with Novo and Lilly.
Yep.
And it's interesting because it's a tale of two sides of that coin. As far as Eli Lilly is a company that's been on the upward trajectory for a couple months now. I actually invested in Eli Lilly because of Market Mondays. I told this story before. I'm currently up 44% on a long-term hold. And
this year.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
So yeah, for sure. So that goes back to the power of buying at the right prices, which is why stock up is so important. EY University to accelerate on the option side and amongst other things. And we're working on something for that Black Friday situation. So just stay tuned. We're working on something that has actually never been done before in history, which is a common theme for us. But you know how that go.
Yeah.
Once you make history, you gotta do it again.
It is.
So stay tuned. So that episode is gonna be legendary. The Monday before Black Friday, that's gonna be a legendary situation. But Eli Lilly is up. Novo is actually almost at its 52-week low.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Lilly up almost 5% today.
As low as $45. It's at $45. As high as $112. So now the obvious thing is people are gonna always look at what's low and say, is this a time to buy Novo? That's all. This is 52-week low. And what does this say about the pharmaceutical market in general, as far as investing in the stocks?
Yeah, my first thought was I was very interested as to why he did the deal with Novo. If you're trying to make American companies exceptional, but in comparison, Eli Lilly versus Novo, Lilly is the clear leader. One of my favorite stocks. I know a couple months ago, people were asking me, should you exit it? I'm like, no, stay tight for the long term. And I think even with the development of Pfizer acquiring a company to get into that startup space to eliminate competition, Eli Lilly is an exceptional company without the GLP-1s. Novo, not so much. So I think this is just another thing to boost Lilly up for the long term. The pharma space is in trouble, though, really. Because really the bet, if you're looking at the Eli Lilly long trade, is really an indictment of the food industry. Because even like in ketchup, you still have corn syrup in Heinz ketchup. I know Robert has tried to do everything he can to make America healthy as much as possible, but there are certain lobbying powers that is going to be hard to overcome. So Lilly is the winner in this for sure. I don't know how well Novo will do long term. They will bounce off that low at some point, but at this point, I wouldn't want to put my money into it as a primary investment vehicle. Eli Lilly is the only company in the pharmaceutical space I love. And anything else until we get into a clear economic climate, I will stay away from.
We've said this over and over. It's a common theme in 2025, and it's look for the American company, right? So
the exceptional American company,
the leader,
American
company in that space, right? So whether it was memory, we talked about Micron, with Lilly now we're talking about in pharmaceuticals. It's been a leader, hit its 52-week high. When we talk about GLPs, I mean, now that they can become affordable, right? You open that up to a wider base. If you can get health, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the healthcare situation? But if that can be part of plans where people can pay subsidized for that, America is the prime market. I mean, it's there.
Unfortunately,
that's the unfortunate part, right? Like it's the unfortunate best market to have that because of obesity in our country, and it's sad to say, but it's the truth. And if there's a fix to that, or there's a solution or something that can help with that, which what GLPs have done, obviously that wasn't their original intent, but to have them at an affordable rate, to have them potentially as part of healthcare plans, I mean, you can see the direct benefit. But I think what you added is important. Were they a strong company even if they didn't have GLPs? Yes. The fact that they do, they're an American company, they're expanding, right? We've seen the expansion. We're watching it happen in front of us. It's why it's in the portfolio, man. It's one of these companies that is going to continue to lead, and especially when an administration is looking to make sure that manufacturing production is happening here. That checks the box.
My only fear with the price being slashed that much is how many lawsuits will come 4 or 5 years later. I know Lilly, they probably hedged incredibly well. Novo, I don't know. I would love to hear it from an executive there, but if they're so cheap and so affordable, when the case studies come out in 3 or 4 years about the effects of them long term, you have to be ready for a lawsuit. And that's my thing with Lilly. They have a bunch of other drugs that are amazing. Novo, and then also too, like, I mean, peptides are making a surge in America. I think this GLP-1 run is going to be short-lived, and if you're same way with Moderna and Pfizer solely focusing on COVID as your main revenue driver, if it's not a long-term product cycle, you're going to be in trouble. So that's my only concern for it. But Lily should be at 1,000 here relatively soon. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. I told you I need to get rid of Lily.
Please.
Yep. And shout out to everybody in Indianapolis who's at Lily. I love y'all. I love when they seem like, oh, thank you for being an advocate. Told you. Got you. Hometown. And shout out to my Hoosiers. I
gotta give you that credit, man.
Hoosiers football team looking crazy.
That was one of the greatest catches I've seen.
Yeah, that was a tough catch, y'all.
Sorry to all Penn State folks out there. Yeah, y'all on a mission, man. Y'all definitely gonna make it to the playoffs at this point.
What's a pre-recession indicator that's been catching your attention?
Oh, I don't even want to say it, but youth employment data. 9.2% of people that are 21 to 28 can't find a job. And of course, there's a correlation with AI, even though they want to say it's not. But if there's no entry level jobs that post grads can find, and you can say, well, use AI to be able to get a job, but like going back to credit, they may not have good enough credit to work at some of the institutions that require a 750 middle score.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, with the surgence of AI, we probably will have a decade where youth employment goes probably to record highs. How do you then onboard them later in life at 32? And I know some people say, well, entrepreneurship. And that's why I think investing is so important, because you can invest into the greatest companies. But if you have no capital to put into the market, you wonder why Mandami won. Like you're looking at, like, if you were born in 2000 or 2003, college and the job market are a scam to you. There's no entryway to even just through the filters of applying an AI applications, filtering a lot of that out. And then once again, last month, 153,000 jobs were taken out of the market. I'm wondering, this is going to trickle up because it's also taking white collar jobs. But if most people are graduating and have no onboarding into corporate, that's a very scary pre-recession indicator to me, in combination with credit card debt being at one of its highest levels in 25 years. It's scary. Like, think about it. If you graduated in June, you have no onboarding unless you have a great connection somewhere into corporate or major tech. It's scary. Even when we went to Nvidia, went to Meta, there aren't many of us running around there. And most of the people who are there, they've been there for a while. They've been tenured for a while. It's tough. If you're looking, just my friends in Chicago, they're like, the job market is seeing freezes in Chicago like they haven't seen in 15 or 20 years. These are people with MBAs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's like
tough, man.
It makes me think of like when Kendrick had that song, "How Much a Dollar Costs."
Mm-hmm.
Is like, how much does the degree mean, right? Like, what will it equate to when everyone has it? You know, I was speaking to, well, my brother's a guidance counselor, but I was speaking to a few, and they were like, it's kind of like what the education system has done with the National Honor Society. Like, every high school has somebody in the National Honor Society, and if every school has that, and every school district has a bunch of schools, how many kids are really in national honors, right? So it's like it gets weakened by having more, right? And then everybody's honored. So it's like there is no separation. So if that's what happens when kids leave school, then what? Right? The MBA isn't enough. So what does it become? Well, I have the MBA, but I don't have experience. Well, do we just give it to the people with experience? And if nobody's giving experience, then what do we have to create? That's why entrepreneurship is so important. But also inside of entrepreneurship is having vision to see opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's abundance of opportunities that we might have to create, but exist that we're not seeing. I think those things are vital.
Charlie, what you think?
Yeah, it's almost over, man.
I mean, we keep stressing this, right? And I'll be honest, even at M2Income, shout out to Daniel. I said the most important investment after you have your investment portfolio isn't another stock, it's the country to be stationed in. You wouldn't have said it. That would have been sacrilege 20 years ago. Now it's mandatory. Even if you look how this country is run, and now also in combination with that in China and then Saudi. Shout, you keep saying it. America has no really great allies because the UK is falling apart. Most people living in the UK are not happy there. Then once again, like once you have socialism rising in a society that is master capitalism, which is the United States of America, the system is incredibly broken. And it's not just black and brown people. They are a lot of white Republicans who want socialism because the promises that they voted for last year have not come true. Inflation hasn't went down. The cost of living hasn't went down. The cost of groceries has not went down. So much so, top of the show, you got to give out $2,000 checks like a John to make people feel as if the campaign and administration is doing well. We are in an interesting time in history, to say the least. But you guys put in chat, what do you think?
Yes, sir. Hit the like button and share. You got to diversify your portfolio. And one thing about real estate is that if you are going to invest in real estate, you might even want to invest internationally. We're going to do it in Ghana. That's happening currently. We was at Daniel's thing. He's talking about Dubai real estate. I've seen Jabril, Passport Heavy. He's been talking about
Jabril.
Panama, yep.
Because, man, you know what? One thing John O'Brien told me back in the days was that John O'Brien was saying that he bought a house in Turks and Caicos. And he bought a house like 10. He was like, you know, okay, like, you know, after, okay, now how much do I have to pay on an ongoing basis? And they're like, no, what do you mean you bought the house? He's like, there's no taxes. He's like, no, you bought it. You own it now. He's like, so I just pay one time and that's it.
Such a foreign concept.
For sure. So, literally free and clear water.
Free and clear. And even in Ghana, like, you know, they got the 99 lease renewal. So people was like, whoa, you really don't own the house because you got to renew it every 99 years. And then I'm like, would you rather pay $2,000 at the end of 100 years to renew it for a new 50 years? Or would you rather pay $50,000 a year in taxes that increases over the course of time? And if you miss 1 year, they take you out. You don't own your house in America. If that's your logic, you don't own your house in America. You literally missed 1 year in back taxes, you're in trouble. Depending on what state you're in, after 18 months, they could take your house.
Yep.
You had this house for 150 years, they could be in your family for 100. Doesn't matter. You could have paid the mortgage for the entire duration of the mortgage. You could have paid property taxes. You fall on hard times, you can't pay property taxes after 1 year. Like I said, depending on what state you live in. Some states, they could take it in a year. The most lenient, it takes like 3 to 4 years. But in any state, after 5 years, they're taking your house. In the most lenient state, they're not going to give you more than 5 years. In the most conservative state, when it comes to this type of matter, they're giving you 12 months, figure it out, and then your house is going to be for auction. So you don't own your house in America if that's the logic.
And, you know, property tax, it was one of the first subscription models. And all big tech gets their ideas from government. Go ahead.
And it's guaranteed to go up. It's not like, okay, even that would be okay. If I'm paying $10,000 in property tax, okay, I could budget this in. Okay, I know for the rest of my life, I'm going to have to pay $10,000 a year. Okay, even that psychologically, you don't even know what you're going to be paying. You could start with $10,000, and then 25 years from now, it could be $30,000. How can you prepare for something that you absolutely don't have any idea of how much it's going to be in the future?
It's a horrible thing getting off that gold standard back in 72. But there's some stable coins who buying gold right now.
You don't say.
Yeah, you got to invest in other landscapes, other continents, for sure, as a hedge.
Diversify your international exposure. That's important.
DIE, not DEI. Even though it's a lot of DI hires are up there in Washington right now.
That's a fact. CMG and CAVA, are those investments to stay away from?
Presently, I'll say yes. The retail space is tough, especially in that sector of food. Are they 1 and 2? No. Did Chipotle move like a 1 for a few years? It has. After it split, has it performed as well? The CEO change has obviously, it's under $38 now. CAVA was one I was big on in 2024, just because of the business, the debt structure, them having no debt, their year-over-year store sales, that has changed. And that's how politics can come into the actual company, right? When you're talking about government shutdowns, when you're talking about government layoffs, the year-over-year same sales stores don't look the same this year. All right. So you see CAVA, which was trading at over $120, is now at under $40. Do they still have the same structure as a business? Yes, but do they still have the same amount of customers coming into that business? No. And so that's one. It's an interesting scenario. Ian, makes me think when you used to say, I don't want to invest in anything that has an engine, right? This one, it relies on people moving their feet inside of that establishment. Now, they've had great growth, but when we looked at it, and we actually did a case study on it, when we looked at where their retail stores were for CAVA, a large majority of them were sitting inside the DMV. And if you think about the DMV, who works in that area? A lot of federal employees. And so if they're not going to work, and if they're not getting paid, and there's layoffs, the fast casual doesn't become fast casual anymore, right? We're not eating out for lunch every day, and you kind of need that space. So the expansion has slowed down a little bit from a standpoint of adding new stores. Is the product still great? I think so, yeah. Will I be in it this year? No. Do I see it getting back into a growth stock in the next 3 to 5? I think so. I just looked at the CEO, and I was very happy to see how transparent he was when they had their earnings call a few weeks back. How transparent in the vision for the company, how much he had a belief in the company, even in the turmoil that they're facing now. I think he got on, and they were down 11% after earnings. And he just stood on that and said where the company's going. So CAVA, I still believe in. Chipotle, tough one to call. I think they'll have a resurgence. But when you look, and this is like that eye test, we got a Chipotle in our neighborhood, man. It's empty.
It's one of my favorite exercises to do.
It doesn't. Chipotle, they don't look the same as we remember when there used to be a line to go into Chipotle. I don't see that anymore. The fanaticism of it has changed. I'll be interested to see what the thing is. Is it a menu change? We'll see. Fast casual was here to stay. I just want to see what the reinvention will be.
Well, the eye test, CAVA's, they just opened up a store not too far away from where I live, and it was booming. So that would be interesting to see how that. But from that eye test, Cross County.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So from that eye test, it was a very enthusiastic amount of people that was there. But speaking of that, government shutdown. So the Senate reached a deal to extend the government funding, signaling an end to the shutdown. I think some moderate Democrats, 8 of them, believe, Senate GOP leaders in the White House. So this could looks like it's going to be the stoppage to the longest government shutdown in American history. We can go through the details if we want, or we can just talk about the implications for the market, which had a positive uptick for the stock market in light of that. So what does this look for the end of the year?
End of the year will be incredible. We'll end the year on a positive. Even as the shutdown, I know today has been positive, but normally Fridays and Mondays are positive days for the market, and it's a lot of hedge funds cycling in because you don't want to not have certain wins going in as you're recruiting. So I know a lot of people were worried if this continued, would it have an impact on the stock market? Even going back to the CAVA and Chipotle point, once again, please write this down. Only invest in the companies that move the GDP of America. I don't even want to have to wake up in the middle of the night and think if a government shutdown or retail stores traffic is slowed down, because Nvidia is really a B2B company. Microsoft is a B2B company. Vanguard VO products are really a B2B institutional company. So I don't want to rely on retail. And if a company is affected by the government shutdown, which is a D or C level threat to a portfolio, at best, you're investing in a bad company. We can talk about the implications on the overall economy, but if you have had negative returns since the shutdown, you're in the wrong stock, hands down.
Do you think it's a bad company? You think Chipotle and CAVA are bad companies?
I think both will rebound, but they're not A-tier companies.
No, they're not. Yeah, like there's obviously the A-tier. I'm just saying I don't know if they're bad companies. Like I know some bad companies. I wouldn't put them in that class.
They're not great though.
Yeah, I like what you said about not investing in the products that move the GDP, right? Mm-hmm. So because retail space is tough. And we've seen that in different avenues, whether it was from retail from apparel standpoint or retail from
the consumer's hurting.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah. So like it's the same in athletics. Like you're a 5-star recruit or not. Investing is incredibly easy when you only invest in the A players. It's the same with hiring. You can hire 10 C players in a company and they'll drag your damn payroll forever. Or you can hire 2 A players who may cost twice as much, but you're going to get 5 or 6x return. Happy birthday, AB. A-level talent. Like, go text me at 4:48 anymore. I love it. Like, all right. Late, early, everyday consistency. Put it in chat. I only want to invest in the companies that move the GDP or A player companies. And if you have to ask, is this A player? It's not. It's not.
What indicators should people look for to lead up to prepare for 2027?
Are Vanguard, BlackRock, and Invesco net buyers of that asset? It's really simple. And okay, act as a world-class investor. What are the assets that Vanguard, BlackRock, and Invesco are buying currently, and list them out the top 25. If it's not on that list, I don't care about it. Furthermore, you should look at what China, Saudi, and UAE are buying. Net positive. That was a gold story as well. They were buying gold while our Fort, I don't know what happened with our gold. Maybe it went away with them NFTs. But who are the whales are a net buyer? I said this on Stock Club call. Like, we are minnows. We are the fish following the whale buyers. We have to make sure that they're a net buyer. The governments and institutions are net buyers of Nvidia. You can't get around it. That's hard data. If a company like CAVA is not, or Chipotle, at this time, most institutions are not in favor of Chipotle. It's going to have an impact on the stock. So if those 3 are not net buyers of the companies I'm looking at,
yeah, you got to have buying. You got to have buying.
Yeah. All right.
Before we get out of here, real quick, because it's a big week, earnings. Nebius is going to be reporting tomorrow before opening. Okla, I'm actually going to do a case study on them and break it down to explain what they do. They were reporting on Tuesday as well. Applied Materials on Thursday. And Disney, man, we got to figure it
out. Figure it out. They lost.
They just signed on with DraftKings, right?
Oh, ESPN bet shut down, but they
DraftKings right there to pick it up.
Restructured.
Repack. Yeah. Yep. Google, Disney, what we doing, man? Figure this thing out.
If hypothetically said media company created the original propaganda for America, if America's fallen, would that primary media company fall as well?
Reports
go do your research and go do your homework. It hit different when you do your homework. You know what I mean? I love this game, yo.
Go watch Cinderella is what Ian said.
You only need 4 companies. It's like the dudes who be asking, can I have 8 women? You can't handle the 2 3s you got now. 6, 7. Just get 4, bro. Call it a day. It's not that damn hard. 4 good assets, 1 or 2 good partnerships, 1 or 2 houses. You're done. No debt, you're done.
That's right.
Blackout will tell you that ratio of what you should have.
Please.
Blackout. 10 o'clock. We're gonna get into it. We got a lot to talk about. WWE, they stripped the boy of his of everything. You heard about that?
Are you surprised that a racist institution removed the black man from? They didn't treat Ron Simmons great. They barely treated The Rock well until he got so fucking scorching hot. You had to deal with him.
One day you're gonna learn.
You're gonna learn. Quit uplifting. We'll talk about it Wednesday.
Yeah, 100%. Uplifting brands that you have no interest in.
Thank you. No equitable interest. Thank you. I was gonna save it, but no.
Yo,
shout out to Griselda.
Shout out to Griselda.
Yeah, so shout out to him.
But I mean, it's a teachable moment. I mean, they don't care. Jay-Z did with Iceberg when they was like, "Yo, I would give you free clothes to wear." After they done it for 18 months and made everybody buy the Snoopy sweaters, like, you know, West Side Gun been running around doing this wrestling thing since I first heard of him, man. He's been at Monday Night Raw. He's been an unpaid ambassador for years. For sure. That only to the cease and desist and said no longer. They kicked him out of the event and said,
"Get your ass out of here."
Respectfully,
thank you.
Get the fuck out of here.
They just treated The Rock bad with the last Cena rollout.
Yo,
the final boss never came back. There's a hell of MAGA shit going on at WWE since the beginning of the time. What are you? What?
Yo,
Hogan died. Legendary racist.
Shout out to our guy. And I gotta give him a shout out because he's been doing some diligent work for Jamaica. Shout out to PJ Kev. Shout out to our brother PJ Kev. He's actually chartering planes to bring supplies down. I told y'all last week we sent some generators down. The generators can't even get there.
Shout out to Tyrese.
Shout out to Tyrese who's there with them. Kev actually reached out to me personally. Shout out to him. We sent some generators down. They're sitting in Miami waiting to get shipped to Jamaica. So everybody that's been doing their part and giving back to the island, we're not going to let it go. But I'm going to talk about it as much as I can until we get PAL up, back and running. I've seen a lot of the people are trying to get the roads back together themselves. We're still praying for Jamaica. Jamaica's always on the heart. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. And again, shout out to Ab. It's his birthday. And
free the wave. To the wave is free, man.
Shout out to Max.
Shout out to Max B.
Welcome home.
Safety, man. You know, glad to see him home with his family. And hopefully he has a very prosperous future ahead of himself and learn from any mistake that he may have made in the past. And let's move forward. But we're friends with everybody. We're friends with the opposition of him. Yeah, that's our friend.
Yes.
But at this point in time, everybody damn near 50 years old. So it's about just getting money and taking care of your family, man. It's not hopefully everybody just let bygones be bygones and move in the light.
We'll talk about on Blackout. Are some bygones unforgivable though? Not related to that because I don't want no parts of that.
Some beef is everlasting for sure. But sometimes it's just like I'm just not gonna get involved in it. I don't gotta like a person. I don't gotta, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna, I'm not even gonna get involved in it because it's not gonna lead to nothing positive.
Fair. Ultimate Warrior was a racist.
That was my favorite wrestler, man.
West Side. Hit the phone, man. Benny, I'm gonna call Benny my guy. Benny, let's figure this out. We can spin this. We can spin this.
And we'll say for Wednesday. But that was I hate that happened to him too, though.
Yeah, unfortunate situation.
All right, y'all be good. Hit somebody up, text somebody. You never know. One phone call could change the trajectory of somebody's life, man. Love is love. We out. We'll see y'all Wednesday. Peace.
Habibi.